sa pagbabalanse natin, sino ba yung pinoproteksyonan natin? Yung gumagawa ng kuryente o yung gumagamit ng kuryente? That's the balancing factor eh. Sabi kasi ng Supreme Court decision dito, any expense charged to a consumer by a distribution utility that did not relate to his benefit is inequitable and unjustified. Di ba natin masusuri kung gano'ng impact, kung malulugi ba sila o hindi, gaano ang ikalulugi nila? Palagi ko, hindi sila malulugi. Yun lang po yung gusto ko makita. Let's say 20 billion peso per year na income nila. Lugi ba yun?
Capital outlay includes the construction of the building for this testing facility. Ito kasing testing facility na to will help us determine na magkaroon tayo ng state-of-the-art na testing center for vehicle fuel efficiency and emissions. This will also help us in our initiative to put an energy-efficient labels for all makes of cars and vehicles, particularly with the introduction of the electric vehicles.
So itong 281 is testing facility.
The building part of the testing facility.
The building part of the testing. But leading to that. No?
Yes po.
Leading to the testing. When you say alternative fuels, ano ito? Hydrogen?
Primarily
Or
po sa ngayon,
biofuels?
ang ano natin is electric.
Electric. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So this is for electric vehicles.
Yes po.
Okay. And then I'll go to that kasi nabuksan na itong, I also saw in the budget, yung alternative fuels and technologies program, nag-increase siya by 281%. And then may nakita rin akong alternative fuel program for transportation and other purpose, locally funded, nag-increase siya from 64 million to 341 million.
Yeah.
Any particular reason for that? And I support this, no? Kasi nakikita naman natin nagiging uso na ngayon yung electric vehicles, and I thank the Secretary for clarifying yung license. I think kasi maraming bumibili ng electric vehicle dahil sa exempted sa coding. No? Pero natakot sila nung magre-register pa sa DOE, so that's another layer. But the Secretary clarified na hindi na. No?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just to further clarify, no, yung total increase natin from 64 to 341 includes na po rito yung kabuuan ng ating vehicle testing facilities. And that ang kalakihan nito ay yung building pa lang, the 281.
Okay, okay.
Tapos to follow yung procurement ng ating testing facility equipment itself in the succeeding years.
Okay.
So meron na naman tayong proposed location, meron na tayong initial location. This will be in Cavite State University in Rosario, Cavite.
Testing facility to.
Yes. Ano po?
Training or testing?
Testing.
Testing.
Po, testing.
So,
and ang kabuuan niyo po niyan, pag nakompleto, hindi siya malilimit sa electric vehicles. Kasama na rin po dyan yung development natin ng concept ng next generation vehicles to include yung hydrogen and yung ating SAF or yung substitute aviation fuel.
Okay. So in other words, pero itong investment natin next year, kasi lumaki yung basically among the programs yung alternative fuels and technology program ang lumaki. So meaning we're focusing on electric vehicles next year.
Yeah, on the testing facility.
On the testing facility.
Opo.
But as a program, yun ang ating fino-focus.
It's part po nung ating overall CREVI, yung ating electric vehicle roadmap.
What are we testing sa electric vehicle? The quality? Why do we need a testing facility?
Right now, Mr. Chair, ang ating primary testing na ginagawa is for recognition, labeling, nung mga models and makes na dumarating dito sa atin. So it's ginagawa po natin yan for appropriate registration. So naka-post sa website natin yung lahat na na-acknowledge, na levelize natin na mga makes and models ng mga electric vehicles. Yung testing facility natin, once it's done, then dito na po yung actual standards development natin.
Okay. So itong mga electric vehicle, ang dami na kasi pumapasok. In fact, na take note yan ni Senator JV. So lahat ito magkakaroon ng standards and labeling.
Yes po.
And to keep it simple, malalaman ngayon ng consumer alin dito ang mas energy efficient.
Tama po.
Okay, so mayroon silang comparison in other
Yes
words.
po. Hindi naman po bago sa Department of Energy yan kasi even before, meron po tayong ginagawang mga eco-run to identify yung fuel consumption rating naman ng mga combustion engines. So yun po yung katumbas nun sa mga electric vehicles.
Okay, alright. I'll go to yung, ito nabuksan ni Senator Marcoleta, yung energy efficiency. I saw in kanina sa presentation ninyo, can we pull up that presentation, yung sa DOE? Sa energy efficient, yan. So, pag itong kinocompute ko, for example, sa designated establishment, sa energy service companies, and you, pag binangga to sa total energy consumption of 126,000 gigawatts, ang energy efficiency natin is only 0.73% ang natipid natin. No? And I think this is a low-hanging fruit, to be honest about it. But I was expecting malaking savings from our energy efficiency policy. But after all these years, 0.73% pa lang ang nasisave natin. Oh, if you also look at itong, let's say, yung energy service companies, less than 1 billion yung investment, yung total investment in designated establishment, maybe respectable at 8 billion. But if you look at the total na save, no, due to energy efficiency and conservation, it's only 0.73%.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, we do understand. There's still a information campaign and education campaign na talagang kailangan dito kasi Filipino by culture is not used to energy conservation. Now, ang low-lying fruit dito is the government agencies actually. So, for example, we have a MOA with DOH na ngayon. Recent lang to, mga 3 or 4 months ago, to audit all the hospitals and hopefully to put solar, as much solar as we could in the hospitals. Now we have as a pilot here in Metro Manila, may isang hospital na, and we'll try to duplicate that with the 87 hospitals of DOH. Same way with TESTA and CHED, and hopefully with other agencies. Ang rollout lang medyo mabagal nga kasi limited ang capacity ng DOE. No? But I think with starting with all this na government agencies lang, which is the major consumer of electricity in the country, pag nakuha na namin yung tamang model with our MOAs, with all these agencies, TESDA, CHED, and DOH, I think it will be faster by next year, Mr. Chair. So, umpisan lang namin ito and see kung anong mas attractive sa mga agencies because, as you said, there's COA issue and procurement issue also.
Yeah.
Pero I will work on this yun na yung may target na yun si Mario actually and what his target for 2026 and 27.
I think ang low-hanging fruit dyan is government. No? Kagaya itong mga ito. Actually, hindi pa kami LED yata eh. No? So, I mean, mga ganitong facilities, kasi under the law, dapat ang mga government should be energy efficient, should use energy efficient technologies. Diba? But government itself, hindi pa tayo umabot sa ganun eh. That's the low-hanging fruit. And then the second would be the designated establishment. Kasi mandated sila talagang magkaroon ng mga officers for energy efficiency. No? So, lahat ba ng designated establishment, lahat ba ng mga dapat maging designated establishment, are they already in the system?
Yes, we don't know yet to affirm that all are covered, but we have registered. Nag-start po tayo ng 4,700 establishments in 2022. And in 2024, we are already at 9,278. So nag-i-increase tayo, but of course the total population ng ating mga registered designated establishment, kailangan pa natin makalap kasi normally sa mga urban centers tayo nakapokus, and yet we understand naman na meron ding mga qualified or pwedeng maging registered participants doon sa mga probinsya na may mga, particularly may mga SMEs.
Yes. Well, malayo pa tayo kung 9,000, no? We're
Yes
talking
po.
about, I think,
Yes.
ang large taxpayer natin is about 150,000.
Yes.
No? So,
We recognize po, but it's really difficult. Kulang talaga tayo sa resources. But the campaign is there.
those are the nakikita kong pinakamabilis na magkaroon tayo ng results. Government, no? Because under the law,
Yeah.
government is mandated and you have the power to compel government through
Yes.
a roadmap. Diba? And then pangalawa, yung designated. Kasi yung designated, mandatory sila under the law.
Thank you.
No? Yung mga maliliit, baka pwede pang delay ng konti. Pero yung mga lalaki, mga steel companies,
Yeah.
cement companies, manufacturing, hospitals, private and public, these are all hotels. No? These are all designated establishments. So, ang problema, hindi lang na-enforce.
Yeah. And yes po. And actually, ang campaign natin is also for all the registered establishment to have their energy conservation managers.
Yes.
At ang naging dilemma po natin is mostly on, again, on the government, particularly the local government units. Kasi it's supposed to be a plantilla position to have an eco-managers, but
For local governments.
Yes.
Pero yung private,
yung private, automatic
Kailangan-
po yun.
oo.
Dapat meron.
Correct.
Duly registered po dapat yung
correct.
kanila.
Pero hindi pa kayo nag-enforce, no?
Meron na po.
Nag-enforce na kayo?
Yes po.
Okay.
Talagang yung coverage lang natin yung kulang.
Yeah, that's why nga you have to enforce na.
Yeah.
You have to
By the way
Pagaya
po,
nung EVs, meron kayong power to mandate establishment to put charging stations.
yes po. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Dito rin sa energy conservation, may power rin kayo to compel.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, actually, I recognize po and I wish to inform you that recently nga po when the Secretary met with the PE2, the ESCO group, the Secretary actually guided us that he wants these ESCOs to be a part of the audit team of the Department of Energy. We can take the phase 1, phase 2 audit, but the third level and fourth level and beyond should be undertaken already by the ESCOs. So magkakaroon kami ng convergence program with the private sector. Kasi kung tayo lang yung gagawa ng energy audit, we cannot cover all.
In the clean energy scenario, ano ang contribution from energy efficiency?
As of now po, 10% pa lang yung target natin.
Kaya ba? Pero 0.1 pa lang, wala pang 0.1, wala pang 0.7
Kakayanin po yan.
pa lang eh.
Kakayanin po yan.
Oo. So
Mr.
malayo
Chair?
pa tayo sa sarili niyong target.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, hoping that Valenzuela will be one of our model cities.
It's really the rules ng bidding. I think pag naayos yan, maraming LGU pupunta sa energy efficiency.
Yeah. Actually,
We tried to
yeah.
mediate with COA, but I think DOE will be in a better position.
yeah. We are even looking on aggregated rooftop installation as part of this energy efficiency. But the aggregation concept is also a more complex procurement process. Kaya medyo hindi kami makatake off. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll go to let me just look at my notes.
Ako muna, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Marcoleta, go ahead.
Hindi talaga ako makaalis-alis sa affordability. Pasensya na kayo. Madam Secretary, this very nagging problem about system loss kasi nasa batas kasi ito RA, nakalimutan ko na, ano ito, 1078 ba to? Kung nandun pa tayo. Nandun naman kasi pwede ba natin talagang tanggalin na yung system loss kung hindi naman masyadong malaking problema sa DOE ito?
Before ERC, Mr. Chair, um, I'll just add to the problem of system loss, Mr. Chair. There's also tax on top of the system loss also,
Yun na
Mr.
nga,
Chair.
only in the Philippines.
Yes, sir.
May system loss ka na, pagkatapos yung system loss meron pang tax. Hindi ko maintindihan talaga yun. How can you tax something that does not exist?
Yes, Mr. Chair. And on the system loss, there has to be a balance. I think Chair Nino can explain better. Because the lower your system loss is, it might be also costly sa DU. So I'll leave it to Chair Nino, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Insofar as system loss, dahil natural yung ibang component ng system loss, talagang hindi maiiwasan. But it can be minimized. And to minimize it, kinakailangan din na mag-introduce ng capital expenditures ang distribution utilities or kaya pababain yung kanyang pilferages. So may katumbas yun, so kakailanganin lang na balansihin po.
Yung balancing kasi ang problema, Chair, dahil sa katulad nga niyang pilferage, nangyayari naman talaga ito, lalo na sa Valenzuela at sa Caloocan. Hindi mo narinig, Mr. Chair, Buti na lang hindi mo narinig. Itong mga pilferage sa electricity, sabi ko marami yan kako sa Valenzuela at sa Caloocan, Hindi ko lang malamang alin yung mas Hindi to kontrolado ng distribution utility. Talagang maraming nagnanakaw ng kuryente. Kaya lang, para ipasa natin doon sa pangkalahatang consumers naman, wala namang kinalaman sa... Siguro, kung ipasa mo doon sa nagnakaw, okay lang yun. Pero yung wala namang kinalaman sa pagnanakaw, pero nakasama sa pagbabayad niya ng kuryente, yung ninakaw ng kapitbahay niya. This is something that is very, very inequitable. Kaya sa pagbabalanse natin, sino ba yung pinoproteksyonan natin? Yung gumagawa ng kuryente o yung gumagamit ng kuryente? That's the balancing factor. Sabi kasi ng Supreme Court decision dito, any expense charged to a consumer by a distribution utility that did not relate to his benefit is inequitable and unjustified. So pilferage, ninakaw ng kapitbahay niya, it did not inure to his benefit. Bakit niya babayaran? So, ito yung pinaka-problema And let's talk about, mag-umpisa tayo para maunawaan nating lahat. Kayo po, ERC and NEA, interested kayo doon sa mga electric cooperatives doon sa Uniform Reportorial Requirements or URR. Tama?
Opo, tama po. Meron tayong pinatutupad na
Yun
URR.
yung pong distribution utility, nung bumili siya sa power producer, X amount, at nung makolekta niya, X amount, meron diferensya Di ba?
Tama po yun.
So bumili siya sa supplier, nung singilin niya yung binenta niya, hindi niya ma-maximize yung... Yun ang... Technically, yun ang system loss. Tama?
Tama, yun po yung konsepto natin ng system loss, yung difference ng kilowatt hours na sinupply ng mga suppliers ng isang distribution utility at saka yung kilowatt hours naman na naibenta ng distribution
Kaya
utility.
nga, so ano po yun? Nasaan po yung problema? Maaaring ng kolekta, hindi niya nakolekta ng tama. Maaaring yung iba, binulsa niya siguro. Pangkaraniwan, ganun po So, yung technical side po nito, sabi ng Meralco, for example, meron po talagang this is natural in this commodity. Tumaas ang voltahe, di ba? Umusok, may nawala. Siguro, nabalatan ng kuryente, lumabas ang kuryente. Sa layo mula doon sa generation to transmission, hanggang doon sa kahuli-huli ang bahay na sinuplayan mo. Depende sa layo, di ba? Yun ang technical. Kaya lang, sabi ko, pinipilit ko nga, bago ka naman nagpasya na gumawa ng kuryente, alam mo na ito Di ba? Halimbawa, ikaw ang may-ari ng Meralco, Mr. Chair. Nung ginawa mo yung Meralco, pati yung iyong mga shareholders, alam nila na meron po kayong risk dito. Meron kayo talagang technical loss. Hindi nyo naman pinag-usapan, hindi, ipapasa natin sa ano. Hindi po eh. Na-recognize na ninyo from the time you decided to go into this venture, alam nyo na meron kayong technical loss. Yun ang punto. May mawawala at mawawala. Hindi po ba?
Yun pong ating mga distribution utility kasi,
Hindi, sumagot ka muna.
may mawawala at
Oh,
may
yun.
mawawala.
Pero alam nyo po yun.
Opo.
Ngayon, nung alam po ninyo yun, bago kayo magpasya na gumawa ng kuryente, sa akin, these are calculated element of risks associated with business.
Ang
Tama
negosyo po kasi ng ating mga distribution utility ay hindi gumawa ng kuryente, kundi ay maghatid lang. At sa kanilang paghahatid, may nawawalang kuryente at yung kanilang paniningil naman ay pinapastro lang nila yung gastos doon sa kuryenteng i-deliver sa kanilang distribution system at yung kuryente na aktual na naibenta nila sa mga kanilang customers.
Yun nga po. Alam nila na bibili sila di ba? From generation, bibili sila doon. Tapos yung transmission, dadalhin sa kanya at siya naman ang magdadala sa household. Alam niya yun eh. May mawawala from generation, from transmission, doon sa distribution utility at papunta sa household. Sa lahat ng dinaanan po ng kuryente na yon, alam niya na may mawawala.
Opo, kaya nga po't binabawi yun doon sa power cost niya. Dahil nga yung nawawalang yun ay may katumbas na halaga. At yun ay kasama doon sa kanyang gastos na maaaring mabawi as a pass-through cost sa kanyang mga customer subject to the cap that was...
So, punta tayo ngayon doon sa pagbabawi. Yung non-technical, nandun na yun. Yung nangungulekta, nagkamali ng pagkolekta. Yung hindi niya nabasa tama yung metro. Yung billing clerk, mali yung ganito. These are non-technical. Walang kasalanan po yung ano rito eh. Pati ba naman yun, ibabawi mo?
Yung pong non-technical na pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung karaniwan ay yung pilferages po. Kaya hindi na...
So, paano po natin binabalanse yun? Kung hindi, halimbawa, nire-recognize nyo po, hindi maiiwasan, paano natin reasonably mababalanse para hindi mabigat sa tao?
Yun po ay yung pag-aralan from time to time kung ano yung akmang cap na ipatutupad ng ating mga distribution
So,
utilities.
mula po ng 2001, nung magawa yung EPIRA hanggang ngayon, 24 years later, gaano na po yung pag-aaral? Gaano na po ang effort natin sa pagbabalanse ng problemang ito?
Simula po tayo sa mas matataas na cap at nitong 2018 po ay nagkaroon nga ng pagtatakda ng bagong mga caps, mas mababa na, nasa 8% na. Nagsimula tayo sa private distribution utilities na mga nasa 12%. Ngayon po ay nasa 8 na. Pero ang actual nila ay mas mababa pa ngayon kahit hindi naman...
Hindi po, ang pag-aralan siguro natin, hindi yung pagbabalanse. Tingnan natin, alin po ba ang ating binibigyan ng emphasis? Yun pong gumagawa ng kuryente o yung gumagamit ng kuryente? Kasi kung titingnan po ninyo yung mga financials ng mga gumagawa ng kuryente, mapa generation, mapa transmission, mapa distribution, hindi naman po sila nalulugi, sa totoo lang. Siguro kayo, dahil kayo ERC, karaniwan na sa inyo, makita nyo yung financials nila eh. Di ba? Sa isa sa mga resolution pa nga ninyo, naglagay pa kayo ng cap eh. For example, meron kayong cap doon sa kanilang yung equity whatever. Meron kayong nakalimutan ko yung term eh. Nag-set pa kayo ng ano eh, parang should be only 36 point something o 13.65% yung cap sa isang distribution utility. Meron po ako nakitang resolution ninyo. Eh. Pero pag tinignan nyo, hindi po 13.65%. Doon sa particular instance na yun, 22%. Sa mga kapatid, hindi napapanagot eh. Kaya, 10 kayo na nakakita na distribution utility na nalugi. Hindi ba natin pwedeng pag-aralan? Halimbawa, Meralco, nakita nyo na po ba yung return to equity ng Meralco kung gaano po yung percent?
Sa ngayon po, magsisimula na kami ng rate reset. Kaya't matitingnan ulit kung ano yung nararapat na ipasingil sa kanila as part ng kanilang rates na weighted average cost of capital.
Di po, sinasabi ko, kung halimbawa tinanggal natin ang system loss, kunwari lang pumayag na silang lahat at napag-aralan natin dapat nang tanggalan ng system loss kahit na private distribution, kahit na electric cooperatives o kahit na pa yung off-grid areas, blah, blah, blah. Di ba natin masusuri kung ganong impact, kung malulugi ba sila o hindi, gaano ang ikalulugi nila? Palagi ko, hindi sila malulugi. Yun lang po yung gusto kong makita. Let's say 20 billion peso per year na income nila. Lugi ba yun?
May halaga po kasi may gastos itong nakatumbas itong system loss associated sa generation at saka sa transmission.
Naintindihan ko, ang sinasabi ko po, yung kinikita po ng distribution utilities, kung aalisin natin yung malaking bagay po ba, ma-improvise ba sila kung talagang alisin na natin? Yun ang gusto kong makita po.
Ngayon po kasi pass-through purely pass-through ang kanilang pangungulekta ng generation at transmission. Wala silang kita doon. So kung ano lang yung kanilang actual na ginastos na inaalaw ng ERC, yun lang ang
Hindi,
kanilang
yung pass-through po, yung silang nangungulekta sa generation and transmission. Kaya lang yung sa kanila, meron din silang cost na, ito po yung sinasabi natin. Ang ano po kasi, ang system loss, transmission lang at saka distribution utility, pinag-uusapan natin.
Opo, pero ang sinisingil natin sa pamamagitan ng system loss charge ay yung halaga ng generation at transmission na katumbas ng nawawalang kilowatt hours po. Kaya't ito ay pinapass through din, subject to the cap. Kung ang
Walang system loss sa distribution? Halimbawa, Meralco?
Yun nga po yung nire-representa ng system loss na sinisingil ng ating mga distribution utilities. Ito ay yung para sa mga kilowatt hours na napapabilang doon sa system loss nila. At yung system loss na ito, ang component naman niya ay mayroong generation at mayroong transmission po.
O ipalagay na natin gano'n ang pagkakaintindi po ninyo dyan. Generation, transmission, and distribution. Di ba sila pwedeng mag-usap-usap? Prorata natin yung loss na yan. Ikaw 20% ka, ikaw 25%, ikaw ganito. Para sa gano'n mawala na lang sa tao, para lang maipababa natin ang kuryente. Gano'n po sana yung philosophy na gusto kong mangyari.
Pwede po kasi na itulak natin, i-push natin yung cost na yan sa mga generators, but eventually kung ang mga generators naman ang mag-shoulder niyan, ipapasa din nila sa kanilang mga customers. So pero mas akma na ito ay mapabilang doon sa parte ng retail right ng ating mga distribution utility kasi ito ay yung nangyayari ng cost within their franchise area at sa kanilang pagsusupply sa kanilang mga customer po.
Kasi po, Mr. Chair, kapag ganun yung pinakapupuntahan ng ating pag-uusap, talagang mahihirapan talaga. Mahihirapan. Pag hindi natin binuksan yung isip natin, hanapan po natin ang lunas. Dahil hindi po masusunod yung sinasabi ng Korte Suprema. Kasi nanggaling na po sa Korte Suprema yung pananalita na ito. Any expense charged to a consumer by a private utility which did not inure to his benefit is unjustified and inequitable. Kailangan po nating panagutan yon. So naintindihan ko na mayroong cost sa iba, ngunit in the final analysis po, ang pinag-uusapan, yung expense na hindi naman napunta sa kanyang ganansya, hindi nyo dapat singilin siya, sabi ng Korte Suprema. Doon tayo dapat magsimula, Mr. Chair. Iwanan po natin yan. Puntahan natin yung...
Mr. Chair, can I interrupt?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir Chair, I want to cite kasi system loss is due to something, no? I guess that's because may losses sa distribution utility sa EC. So, kinakalculate yan tapos binabalik. But another way, not just by capping it, but another way of addressing the problem is fixing the efficiency of the utility, yung EC, for example. As a model, as an example, NIA, with the leadership of Admin Nani, has shown that to be effective in Zamboanga ba? Tama ba? In Zamboanga. Inayos nila yung metering nila, dinagdagan. I think Admin Nani can explain it better. It will cost us a few millions na rin just to ensure na tama yung mga metro nila, kompleto siya. But it can be done also on the other end, Mr. Chair.
Yes, I recognize that, Madam Secretary. Kaya nga yung URR ay mandatory sa lahat ng mga electric cooperatives. Mandatory yung uniform reportory requirements that dito nyo makikita kung ailing sila or underperforming electric cooperatives. Naintindihan ko yun, Madam. Kagaya po nitong feed-in tariff allowance, no, nag-increase na po ngayon from 0.1189 per kilowatt hour to 0.2773 effective November 2025. Tama, Mr. Chair?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Or 74% increase that will be passed on to the consumers again. So, ito po, pinag-uusapan natin ang affordability. Imbes na tayo pababa natin, lalo papataas po eh. Ngayon, to make matters worse, ito, yung green energy auction natin, prices have not been reflected yet in the billing cycle, pero consumers will soon be charged. So dalawa pong renewable energy subsidies na po ang ano rito, yung FIT and the GEA. So ano pong gagawin ng DOE rito? To manage the overlap in renewable energy incentives para maiwasan natin ang overlap or double charging sa mga consumers natin. So again the question, is DOE focus limited to supply of generation without assessing the impact to the end users?
Mr. Chair, ang GEA kasi, it will be subsidized and it will be reflected eventually nga sa bill natin at it will increase, no? But as on an overall, because of GEA also, we are also, in our energy mix will be included cheaper renewable energy. So may balancing din na rin yan. Kung bumibili ka ng ang generation mo, may epekto din dyan, nabababa din siya, pero umaakyat din yung subsidy mo. But I think overall, it will be more of a reduction rather than increase, Mr. Chair.
Sana mapil natin, Madam Secretary, ano? Lalong-lalo na po yung mga consumers po natin na talagang mahirap na mahirap. Patuloy po silang nagte-text kay Chairman Sherwin. Sabi nila, pinakikita po kasi sa akin ni Mr. Chair yung mga text messages almost every day. Mr. Chair, sabi nila, baka naman we can bend the law to make the people happy. Hindi, pinakikita mo kasi talaga pong because of that, tad na po kami ng text messages eh. You want us to be happy, Mr. Chair, sabi nila. Papayagin nyo na yung ERC na you bend the law. Ha? Alisin na muna natin yung system laws na yan. Hindi naman magiging pobre lahat yung mga stakeholders na gumagawa ng... Pero yan lang naman. Palagay mo, palagay lang natin, pag inalis natin yung system laws, there's a general loss of, let's say, 1.5 billion per year across the board. Andyan na yun sa generation, andyan na transmission and distribution. Palagay lang, no? 1.5 billion ang nawala sa kanila. Pag tinignan mo yung financials nila, 22 billion, 24 billion per annum. Yung ba naman 1.5 na? Ang laki bagay ba naman sa... Pero yung 1.5 billion na natipid po across the board doon sa mga consumers natin, nararamdaman po nila yun. Yun po yung principle. Pasensya na po kayo at ako'y talagang makulit sa ganito.
Mr. Chair. Because we're talking here of not just Meralco but also the electric cooperatives.
Oo naman.
Doon sa singil nila, wala nga din silang return na binibigay sa kanila. Kaya kung sila din ang mag-absorb ng cost ng system loss na yan, ay baka mas mahirapan po ang kanilang operasyon.
Baka mas mahirapan, ha? Pero hindi pa natin alam na mahihirapan talaga. Baka lang, ano? Yung energy plan po natin, Madam Secretary, 2023 to 2050, yung renewable energy is targeted to supply 35% ng ating power generation mix by 2030. Palagi po nating nasasabi ito. And to increase to 50% by 2040 and become the dominant source of electricity by 2050. Napakaganda pong projection, Yusek, hindi ba? Pero narinig ko po si Undersecretary Kapongkol. Kala mo siguro hindi kita... Kala mo nilalampasan kita, hindi. Pero ang sabi mo kasi, we are now at 24% RE share in the energy mix, sabi mo. Sabi naman kanina ni Yusek Guevara, 31%. Parang magkaiba kayo. Ikaw 24%, ikaw naman 31%. Ano man totoo rito?
Yung pong megawatts ay 32. Yung ay 30%. Yung pong megawatt hours, yung po yung 22.
Hindi po.
Apa.
Share po 24, sa energy mix po yung pinag-uusapan natin. Sabi po ni Yusek Kapongkol, nasa 24% na po yung renewable energy sa energy mix. Kanina naman tinatanong ko kayo sa energy mix, ilang percent na ba yung renew? Sabi nyo naman 31. So sa percent po kayo nagkakaiba. So alin po, 24 o 31?
Pareho pong tama. Yung pong 31 kasi in megawatts, yung installed, yung capacity po in megawatts.
Nako.
Yung pong 24 in megawatt hours.
Ewan ko
Energy
ba?
po yon.
Baka si Administrator Almeda lang makakaintindi sa inyo dyan. Nagkaroon po ng SIP ngayon sa US, yung pagtulong nila sa kanilang mga kaalyadong bansa, di ba? Ayaw na ni Donald Trump. Wala na sa akin yan, kanya. Basta ako sa giyera na lang ako magko-concentrate, di ba? So ano epekto sa atin ngayon, ma'am? Sabi mo, sabi ni... Sino ba nagsabi? Nakita ko rito ikaw pala nagsabi. Chairperson sa Turnino Juan, wala kang epekto sa akin yan. Sige nga, paano natin... Hindi, sinabi mo. It was supported by ERC Chairperson Francis Juan. Kasi dito ang state, the DOE said the SIP in U.S. renewable energy policy under President Donald Trump will have minimal effect to the Philippines. Oh, you supported it.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I don't recall that statement made, but yes, we support the Department of Energy's stated position regarding the impact of the shift in the policy in the United States.
Meron ng formal assessment, Madam Secretary, that this will not affect our program, energy program.
Yes, Mr. Chair, currently wala namang investor na US sa Philippines, or very minimal lang sa renewable energy. Mostly Asia and Europe ang investor natin, Mr. Chair.
last June 13, 2025, yung ERC nagkaroon po ng public consultation. Ito yung sinabi mo kanina in your opening salvo. It's about the Nasikor ba yun? Nasikore.
Nasikor po yung aming
Nasikor ba yun? Versus ERC, di ba? This is in regard to the decision of the Supreme Court that you have to find a new valuation methodology in regard to the regulatory asset base. Ang laking bagay po kasi nito, sapagkat karaniwan dito nagmumula po yung kung saan nyo kinakalculate yung rate po ng electricity, di ba? Ako po ay nagpunta ron. Ako lang po mag-isa. Kaya lang, di ko kayo nakita ron kasi iba yung set ng panel, ano po. Hindi pa kayo ang ano. Nag-suggest po ako ng mga ilang bagay doon para makatulong naman. Halimbawa, ang sabi po namin doon, under the new rules, public utility services should be mandated to submit evidence that the assets included under the regulatory asset base are not only in working condition but must also necessary to and are regular that they are regularly and necessary used in their operations as distribution utilities. You know? Kasi po yung old, idle, and unnecessary assets such as recreational facilities and museums should not be included in the RAB. Tama naman po yun.
Tama po yan, Mr. Chair.
Tapos, ang sabi namin, instead of a single valuation method for all assets, ERC should utilize different valuation methods for different assets. Hindi naman po uniform ang mga assets. And then we also suggested that ERC should publish a standard list of assets category and assign a default valuation method for each category. At saka iba po, marami pa po yun na mahaba lang ito at hindi ko na sasabihin. Meron kaming kinonsider kasi ron. ERC may consider a reasonable and transparent risk premium, example 2 to 3%, to account for sector-specific risks and to encourage ongoing investment in infrastructure. The rate of return should also be reviewed, updated periodically to ensure it remains aligned with the current economic and financial climate. ERC should likewise publish a standard ROR formula or guideline to promote consistency and practicability. I believe I submitted this position statements on June 18, 2025. So, July, August, September, October. 4 months later, wala naman po akong na-receive na anything from you. Kahit na po hindi nyo ako pinasalamatan, okay lang po sa akin yun. Ang gusto ko lang malaman kung ito pong mga suggestions namin makakatulong po sa inyo at sa ating mga mamamayan.
Mr. Chair, dito ko lang po kasi gusto na gawin yon yung pagpapasalamat kay Senator Marcoleta
Ikaw naman,
doon sa kanilang participation.
Niloloko mo na ako niyan.
Hindi po, ipapaliwanag ko po kung ano yung inaprubahan naming trending method na kanina naman ay sinabi ko. Personal po namin gusto kayong pasalamatan dahil doon sa inyo pong mga inputs, yun po ang aming naging gabay doon sa pagdedesisyon namin to adopt the trending method for determining the valuation of Meralco's RAB. Ano ba po itong trending method? Dito po ay, gaya po ng nasabi ng ating butihing senador, yung pong assets ay titingnan natin depende sa kanyang klase. So may iba't ibang gagamiting factor upang i-value yung particular asset na yan. So consistent po doon sa nasabi ni Senator Marcoleta. So ito na po ang gagamitin natin for Meralco to comply with its directive in the Nasicor versus Meralco case that we adopt a different valuation methodology kaya po't niremand sa amin. At ito na nga po, ito ay na-adapt lang kamakailan lang at pa-issue pa lang yung aming resolution at kasama doon yung aming magiging liham ng pasasalamat po kay Senator Marcoleta doon sa kanyang partisipasyon po sa aming public consultation on this matter.
Pwedeng maging congressman ito, Mr. Chair. Salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Magaling mambola ba? Senator, thank you for that. Maraming salamat, Senator Marcoleta, for those interventions. May nakuha kaming secretary. Ay, sige, okay lang. Don't worry. Baka bumalik pa ho yan. Huwag kayong mag-relax. Right, thank you, Secretary. May nakuha kaming letter about additional funding support for the development in Mercedes, Camarines Norte, in Curimao, Ilocos Norte, and for offshore wind projects. It's a request for an amount of 4.6 billion. Can you explain itong project na ito and also the request?
Mr. Chair, this is for the development of the offshore wind. We're hoping to be offshore wind to be one of the flagship projects for this administration. And can I ask Yusek Bacordo
Yes,
to
yes.
further explain? Go ahead.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Through the Philippine Ports Authority, the Philippine Ports Authority has committed to for three marshalling ports by 2027-2028 period. One of this is the port of Pambuhan, which is actually a greenfield port. This is going to be a 15-hectare port in Pambuhan, and close to Pambuhan there are about 8 offshore wind energy service contracts within 50 nautical miles of that future port of Pambuhan. With this port in place, Mr. Chair, that will be on track with our target to have the first kilowatt hour delivered by 2028 from offshore wind.
Is the assurance that this offshore wind, they have my service contract doon, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So the request is to build ports so
Yes,
that
Mr.
we can deploy the offshore wind projects, no? And these are privately led developers.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And then, but how sure are we that these developers are going to invest? No? Because I remember during the budget hearing, we also asked PNOC about this. I think PNOC had a project before. Ganun din, offshore wind rin. In fact, we requested, how much? Hold on, let me just look for my notes. Ito. Meron ng 88 million na nagastos, no, for that offshore wind. This is PNOC side, hindi naman connected to sa inyo. But I'm just saying na kasi naglalagay, based on your request, naglalagay ng pondo, gumagastos ng pondo, pero kagaya nito, hindi naman natuloy. No? But I'll ask that later on sa PNOC.
Mr. Chair.
So how sure are we that these projects will be realized? Kasi the amounts are not small. No? We're talking about 4 billion pesos in terms of infrastructure projects.
Mr. Chair, I have to clarify lang. These are ports that have big potential because there are areas nearer to the current service contracts. Currently, however, we have under PPA, we're trying to develop Camarines, and there's a possible um, port also in Batangas under PPA also, and the others also would cater to a different set of developers. When we are scheduled to have an auction by next year, by this year, for offshore wind for 3,300 megawatts, 3.3 gigawatts. Per megawatt in offshore wind is about $5 million. You convert that, that runs in billions ang investment. The investment in the port is very minute compared to how much they're bringing in now. How are we assured that they will bring in those investments? With the auction, it's a condition that they have to have an agreement already, a use agreement with a certain port so that they can join the auction. Kaya kailangan kumpleto na sila, may kontrata na sila sa port para maka-join sila sa auction. And so even now, they can already talk to the possible developers, or they can vice versa, kung pwede sila to work with them, because that will actually be a contract for very least mga 5 to 10 years ang isang developer lang, Mr. Chair.
The amount of the port might be small for them kasi malalaki investors to. Pero sa atin, 4 billion is 4 billion. No? It's quite a sizable amount. So ang gusto natin, certainty. No? And I know that this project is also important in terms of increasing our RE share. But kung maglalagay tayo ng ganito, kailangan may certainty na papasok itong mga investors na ito. Sa ngayon, meron silang service contract na hawak, di ba? But alam naman natin, the service contracts pwede ring hawakan na matagal. No? Kagaya kanina, nasabi ni Yusek Guevara, 105 yata na cancel. No? So in other words, the service contract is not an assurance that they will build unless meron na silang nasa committed stage na sila. May funders na sila, meron na silang kausap na mga EPC contractors, then pwede pa yon. Pero kung ganito lang, baka will invest 4 billion and then walang mangyari, uurong rin sila. No? So it's a chicken or the egg, I know. But you have to give us some comfort level to see whether this is a worthwhile investment. No? And we support the offshore wind. In fact, I want the Philippines to be the first one in Southeast Asia to have offshore wind investments. Malaking bagay yan para sa atin. No? Kung kaya nga, first nuclear, first offshore wind, then that will be a feat and bragging rights for us, no? For our country. But we need to have certain level of comfort before we pump in 4 billion pesos for a port project. So what is that comfort? What is that? Anong level ang pwedeng ibigay ng developer at ng DOE so that the country will be investing in this 4.4 billion? And how come, the next question connected, bakit hindi ito isinali sa inyong request sa NEP?
Mr. Chair, on the NEP question, Yusek Kev can explain what are the requirements and what's the assurance that the ports will be used. Ano? But on the NEP, because it's not under DOE, Mr. Chair.
It's under PPA.
PPA or
Yeah,
DOTR.
but even
Yes,
PPA
Mr.
did
Chair.
not request for this. Nag-hearing kami ng PPA. They came here, but I don't see in their NEP. No? Unless I missed it, pero wala akong nakitang 4 billion for a... Meron ako nakitang pera for a cruise line, but not for a solar port. Not solar, offshore wind port. No?
Yes, we understand, Mr. Chair. We did have we have had several conversations with PPA, and I guess it's also a matter of prioritization for them. And 2 ports actually medyo napasok nila. These are the extra ports that we we do think that are necessary for a program.
Okay.
So inuna na nila yung dalawa, tapos meron pang iba na
Okay.
iniwan
Okay.
sila. Yusek Guevara can continue.
Regarding the level of comfort, we have seen the developers for offshore wind invest in several things. So the studies, the feasibility studies, the geotechnical, the designs that they have come up with, they have already spent millions of dollars on this. So those that we think are the frontliners, there are 16 projects. They are far advanced in where they are, and we know that they have already spent a lot. And the
Even without the port.
even without the port pa, sir. So kaya government naman will have to assure them that the investments that they already made ay matutuloy-tuloy nila na maging offshore wind project talaga. So one company, more than $5 million na yung nagastos niya eh. So we know that they are spending. And also, for them to join the auction that was mentioned by the secretary, our requirements are very high. They should have had many of the permits already done and the designs already done. So that is the level of comfort for the investment that the government will be making for the offshore wind port, Mr. Chair.
So I suggestion ko, well, I think you have may usapan na kayo with PPA on the other ports. But on this particular case, ang suggestion ko is to have some form of financial clause or movement from indicative to committed stage and supply us with those information. So at least we can justify investing 4 billion pesos into an offshore wind port na alam ko kailangan to kasi kung hindi nila malalaunch yung kanilang offshore wind. No? Paano nila ila-launch yun? But we need some advanced stage document para ma-justify natin. On the topic of nuclear, may nakita ko dito sa budget, meron tayong Nuclear Energy Program Coordinating Committee. It has a budget of about 45 million pesos. No? And so what's the exact status of our nuclear program? I heard the Secretary mentioned earlier na meron na tayong roadmap. No? But at what stage are we in terms of nuclear as of this point?
Mr. Chair, first off, on the increase in budget, there's NEPIAC and then there's the nuclear division. As of today, ang budget ng nuclear division namin, kinukuha lang yan sa bureau itself. So now we're trying to, that's why there was an increase also in the bureau kasi dapat meron sariling budget yung division na yan. Now, ang second is where are we at? We are preparing for, our target is by next year, a company can come to the Philippines and apply for a license.
Yun ang target natin?
Yun yung target namin
Okay.
by next year.
Alright.
So what does it mean? That licensing for siting, for example, no? What does it mean? We need to have the IRR of our regulator ready. Also the rules of, or the permitting or processes in DOE for a nuclear power plant. ECC has to be recalibrated para sa nuclear power plant ng DNR. There are also DND, Department of Finance. Many of the agencies are involved in this. So, yun po yung preparation namin. Now, we're now at the stage na we're assessing all the permitting processes in the different agencies para alam na nila kung ano yung kailangan nila hingin once there's an application. So, having said that, we are trying to finish na rin lahat na capacity building now. To that end, we are talking now we have MOA now with CHED and TESDA for skills mapping. Pag i-laderize nyo din yung skills, ilan ba yung, we mapped it, how many operators do we need, how many construction, how many scientists do we need. So, and also on the part of the other agency. So medyo it's the preparation stage for us to start now with the hopefully with the pre-development na talaga, Mr.
But
Chair.
everything, Secretary, is contingent on PhilAtom.
Yes, Mr.
Diba?
Chair.
How fast can we set up PhilAtom?
Currently, Mr. Chair, they are doing the IRR for the PhilAtom law.
This is spearheaded by DOST.
This is the OST, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
alright.
Together with, of course,
Of course, the
FDA, mga
Okay.
ganun. Ang PhilAtom, we have, on the part of NEPIAC, for PhilAtom, we have contracted a technical assistance in the evaluation of preparation of PhilAtom. And PhilAtom is still lacking on the personnel, equipment, probably capital outlay for them to have their own office. Pero currently, there is also in the transitory, Mr. Chair, na pwede naman yun yung galing sa FDA or I'm not sure in DOST part for PNRI, ang people and the budget that can be transferred to that dapat pupunta sa PhilAtom. But as of now, I don't think it's sufficient enough for them to really be in full force. Kailangan talaga nila ng fresh budget to
But
be operational.
without PhilAtom, mahirap, walang pag-a-applyan ng license. No?
Yes.
So it's really, everything's contingent on
Yes, Mr. Chair.
PhilAtom. But during the budget deliberation of DOST, hindi naman nila, I don't recall DOST mentioning PhilAtom and its creation. No? So that's why I'm asking because, again, no chicken or the egg. Kung walang PhilAtom, walang pag-a-applyan ng license. No? But when during the budget deliberation of DOST, hindi naman nila, I don't recall DOST requesting for a separate item or separate budget for PhilAtom.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure how they will handle establishing PhilAtom. PhilAtom technically is under the Office of the President,
Yes.
and then you get all the offices of the different agencies. No? PNRI by itself is already a regulatory commission. You just have to extract that function and people as well para ma-establish yung commission. I think that might be a good start already for them, Mr. Chair. Hopefully it comes with a budget that's allocated to PNRI, but
Correct.
that's for the OST to determine, Mr. Chair.
Correct. Well, I'm just flagging the department because if the target, and I know in the PEP meron na tayong for the first time may nuclear kasama na siya sa energy mix, no? So in other words, may timetable na sinusundan siya. So I'm just flagging the department on that matter. And also another matter is I saw lumabas yung Department Circular 2025-10-0019. And this is to ensure a ready market for available capacities for Pioneer NPP, nuclear power plant. I know the intention, no, for exempting nuclear power plant to CSP. No? Para meron na siyang assured market. Kasi ang laki. No? We're talking about ano bang pinakamaliit na nuclear power plant? $10 billion in terms of construction in terms of construction
Basically,
cost.
$10 billion.
Yeah, mga $10 billion siya, more or less. So, sino namang maglalagay ng $10 billion nang walang market, no? Wala kang offtake, no? So, I know the intention, but I'm also concerned with our least cost principle, diba? So, we don't have to discuss that in length ngayon, but I'm just putting that on the table to the department, and later on we can have a longer discussion on that because anong interplay ngayon ng least cost versus nuclear power plant, no? And from a consumer point of view, lalo na sa ERC, how are we assuring our consumers na si nuclear power plant is laging least cost, no? So you might want to have a quick response, no?
Quick lang, sir. That's why it's an interagency in the sense that kasama namin yung ERC. It's to assess how do we set the tariff for nuclear. buti na lang katabi ko si Nino. It needs a longer contract, Mr. Chair, not just a 20-year or 10-year. So the useful life in France, in fact, it's 70 years yung sa kanila. Some countries give 50. So that's a major consideration in determining what's the cost of nuclear for us. Otherwise, it will be expensive kung shorter siya, Mr. Chair.
Definitely because of the enormity of the investment cost, no? $10 billion. So that's about 50 billion pesos. Kailangan mo talaga 500 billion pesos. 500 billion? Ganun kalaki. So imagine yung kanilang, kailangan talaga meron siyang assured market, no? Kasi kung hindi, saan niya dadalhin yung kanyang kuryente? No?
Just another thing, Mr. Chair. Why is there the exemption from CSP is just for the first one, Mr. Chair. It's just to have the pioneer in the Philippines, and it won't cover the rest of the succeeding one.